can this Bible move of its own accord without me applying any force to it? It just moved there. It moved on its own. It's obviously possessed by the devil or God. Either that or it's a conscious Bible and it can actually preach itself and then go home afterwards. That's what's happening there, isn't it? Or maybe not. Maybe it's an inanimate object which cannot move. It cannot generate its own force of momentum in any direction. It can't go anywhere. When it comes to stasis, rest, when it stops in front of a solid object, like this. Now, how do we know it's not going to float up? If I knock the bottom of the table, how do we know it's not going to do this? And if it did, it would go straight back down again. How do we know that accurately? How can we predict that every single time without fail, flawlessly, precisely? Because gravity. So, for all of you out there who believe in the flat earth, I'm sure there's many of you, believe in the flat earth if you want, I don't. This Bible here is going to prove to you whether the earth is round or flat or a flipping banana shape. It doesn't matter. One thing that you cannot dispute, unless you are absolutely insane or you're just not very good at maths, is that objects can generate force of their own. They can't. If I want to throw this object over there, I have to start here and I have to move it this way and then I have to let go. See? But when I let go of it, it doesn't keep going this way. It wants to go down. No matter what direction or angle I put on it, it always wants to go down once the energy I have applied to it with my throwing arm is spent. So it hits air resistance and drag. That stops it moving this way. But once it's stopped moving this way, it doesn't just stop in midair, does it? Because that would be a miracle. I can't produce a miracle like that. So instead of it stopping in midair when it's run out of the energy I give it, it falls down at 0 degrees to the floor where it hits a solid object and it comes to a stop. Now, how can we predict accurately all of that stuff if we do not have gravity? Because gravity is the reason why when I throw it, it doesn't continue in a straight line forever or hit air resistance and stop and just hang around in the air. There's a reason why it stops going this way, which is air resistance, the thickness of the air in front of it, the viscosity, if you want to misuse the term. Viscosity is applied to solids or soft solids, not to gases like the air. You probably just use density for a gas like the air. What's the density of the air? So let's say we've got a dense air in front of me. When I throw it, it's going to stop quicker, but it's still going to go down towards gravity. And it doesn't matter what angle or what power I give it or what angle I'm at. I could be stood on my head, throw it up, throw it down. I could be lying down, frisbee it sideways. Whatever forces I apply to this Bible, when that force is spent, it's going to stop, go down towards 0 in a nice, uniform, easily predictable way because gravity equals 1. That's how we know that. So, in conclusion, ladies, gents, Pikachus and my friend who thinks the world is flat, if you think the world is flat, fine, that's a separate argument. And all the other things you said are a different argument. But viscosity does not create momentum. If you're mixing up a yogurt, are you not changing its viscosity? When you've made it a little bit thicker and you take the spoon out, is it about to move? Is it going to run away from you? No. You've made it more viscous, but you haven't caused it to move in a particular direction through giving it a viscous property. So, the reason why Bibles go down when you drop them, like this, is not because of their density. I could remove all these pages and just do it with a cover. Any object does the same. Heavy or not heavy, bit of paper, codeine pills, vape, whatever you choose, they're always going to go down towards gravity. And the reason is because gravity is exerting a force of momentum of 1 on the object in space, which is giving it weight. Weight is the resistance of its mass against it being pulled down towards gravity. And if you don't have that gravity in your calculation, that means when you throw an object, no matter what object you're throwing or what medium you're throwing it through or how viscous the goop that you've thrown it into is, unless that goop is flipping solid concrete and then the object has hit two solid walls and is not going to move, if it's got freedom of movement, it's eventually going to lose all its momentum, and it's going to carry on going down, and it's going to accelerate down until it hits the ground. So that's the proof of gravity. But without it, what have you got? You don't have planes, you don't have birds, you don't have legs that walk, you don't have lungs that work, you don't have a tap with water coming out of it, you don't have romantic walks in the hills with your beloved, and you certainly don't have Bibles, because you don't have a printing press, you don't have miracle, you don't have Jesus, you don't have anything. If you don't have gravity, the way that the world works, none of it works. And that's the reason why the Gnostics love to brainwash you into believing the opposite thing that you currently believe, which is Quranic science. Now, why do I finish up on Quranic science? Because this book here, the Quran of the Muslims, I got you. You didn't think I was going to mention it. The Quran of the Muslims, this shonky thing here, which has already collapsed once under intense scrutiny and will collapse again later. This is the book which claims gravity is not real, that the earth is flat, that Allah in fact created it that way, and that this is the proof of his creational talents, that he created everything. That's the proof that Allah gives, that he created everything, that it's all flat, that he rolled it out of his mouth like a big carpet, and there's no gravity, he's making everything work. And he's the one that says the sun and the moon aren't rotating in space around a big globe Earth because it's flat. What he supposes is, at the end of the day, the sun goes behind the Earth into its little cushion nesting place, like it's got a little bird's nest behind the Earth, and you can't see it. It goes in there, and it's like a light bulb. It goes off, and it has a little rest. And while it's resting, it sends out another one, which is the moon. And the moon comes out and gives you a little bit of light. But he doesn't realise, without the sun, the moon has no light. And he also doesn't realise that the moon and the sun are not opposite to each other. That's why we can have an eclipse every now and again, or we can sometimes see the sun and the moon in the sky together. And the point of this video is this, my friend. If you take away gravity from all of that science, all of that maths and engineering knowledge, all of those contraptions I mentioned, compasses, boats, sails, birds flying in the sky, doves, like the Jesus stuff, none of these things work without gravity being a thing, and gravity precisely equaling 1. 1.1, they don't work. 0.99, they don't work. 0.99 and then 1 at the end of the day, they don't work. Any other of the millions of combinations of numbers that you could apply to gravity don't work, and the whole world fucking collapses into nothing. Everything upon it dies. The only way that the Earth could have survived and flourished with life is gravity equals 1, and that is the end of this video. So I hope you have understood what I'm saying here. Don't be fooled by the Gnostics and their trickeries to try and get you to believe Quranic knowledge, i.e. the world is flat, gravity's not real, Allah made it that way, and that's the proof for his divinity. Because it's a load of fucking nonsense. Pick up your Bible, make sure it isn't lying on the ground in stasis, containing no energy. Apply your hands to it and read. And you'll find out every single word I've said is not only true, but predicted in here, the same as the theory of gravity predicts everything that I've said to you now. And you can test it yourself. You can pick up objects, you can throw them into buckets, you can predict where they're going to land by the curvature of them dipping back towards gravity. And if you take away gravity, guess what? They don't come down. So I hope this doesn't bring you down too much. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed that and you learnt something. God bless you all. And I'll see you in the next one. So, my challenge to you, dear friend, who disagrees with this, you must make an equal and opposite video to this one, demonstrating, as I did with a solid object that you threw, how it is collecting its downward momentum without you having applied it, if there's no gravity. So, I'll be watching. See you in the next one.